Welcome back into the Alabama Football Report. I am Tom Downey. We're breaking down the latest on the Crimson Tide, and the latest transfer portal rumors very much indicate Alabama is not done, and another commit could be coming in the very near future. Before we get into it, we are losing the like battle against the Ohio State Football Report, not by a lot, a little under 2,000. That's obtainable and catchable. Help us out by liking today's show, please, and thank you. Let's dive into this one here. Mississippi State transfer offensive tackle Jayvin James has Alabama as the early favorite to land his services per on 3. This would be a pretty significant get since he was a starter at an SEC program this past year. James, it kind of sounds like, hopped in the portal after Mississippi State chose to bring in Jordan Seaton, who I don't think they're going to land, and maybe it's the play games, win prizes thing there for the Bulldogs. They didn't want to lose him necessarily, but now he is in the portal, and Alabama is the favorite, so much so they are trying to lock him up today when he is on his visit in Tuscaloosa. James's career was a 3-star recruit all the way back in 2023. Spent his first 2 years as a member of the Akron Zips, very small MAC school over there. Played decent amount in 2023, 2024. Originally committed to Maryland after he got in the portal, and then flipped to Mississippi State. I think he does fit, for the most part, what Alabama's trying to do up front. I will also say that I do worry a bit about some of the not great run blocking grades. He got beat a little bit, but remember, he's a younger player in the SEC program that wasn't that great in the end. There's no guarantee he starts. He would give you an actual, experienced option at a spot where you don't really have any right now. In the end, adding a starting left tackle from a fellow SEC school who has also experience on the right side of the offensive line sure feels like a pretty big win for me. And I think that would end up being a positive for Alabama. Even if it doesn't start, it's great depth. And it gives you some insurance if he does take another step forward and be a better version of what we saw last year at Mississippi State. So do you want to land him? Y for yes, N for no. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. It is the pinned comment on today's video. Now, 24/7 Sports reporting that Idaho State transfer wide receiver Ian Duarte, I think that's how it's pronounced, is set to visit the Crimson Tide. The details on that timing of the visit are not clear. The reported visits also include Tennessee per on 3. He's supposed to visit the Volunteers today. So those are two notable SEC visits for a smaller school program in Idaho State. Man's got no photo on ESPN. That's how you know it ends up being a lower tier target there. I will say there was another Idaho State player. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but he transferred to Ohio State this past year. But anyway, 46 catches, 521 yards, 3 touchdowns back in this past season. In 2024, also went for 500 yards. I did see some articles saying, 1,000-yard receiver. That's cheating. That was 2 years worth. You can't count those years into one. That's how you get an 8,000-yard passer in the NFL. What are we doing? But there has been some return game ability. He's had a couple punts and kick returns as well. Maybe, given the size, this could be a Cole Adams replacement for you. A backup wide receiver who can handle some return stuff and give you some ability as a reserve, which, as we'll get into as well on today's show, this Bama team really needs right now at the wide receiver spot. Today's show is made possible by PrizePicks. The big game is almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. Close the season outright with PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups after you play your first $5. One of our conference championship weekend prize picks here. Drake May, more than passing yards. Cooper Kupp, more than 1.5 catches. Devontae Adams, more than 3.5 catches as well. These are all the Goblin, more than less than. So they're a little bit lower payout. Easier to win, though, in the end. With the new social feeds feature, you can share prize picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. Let's go to the other wide receiver that Bama has had interest in. We've mentioned him a couple times now on the show. I do want to check in on Nico Brown as part of this wide receiver conversation. He took a visit to Alabama. As of now, there hasn't been any announcement from Nico Brown that he had a scholarship offer. He's also taken a wide array of visits. The plan all along, it sounds like, per On3, was he was going to take all of his visits and then make up his mind. Michigan State, Northwestern, UCLA, Washington, and Stanford most recently, with a couple of those programs maybe having an easier path to immediate playing time for Nico Brown, who I will say was really good last year for Yale. I know it's Yale, level of competition stuff, all completely valid. 90 targets, 71 catches, only 2 drops, over 1,000 yards. That yards per route run stat was 4.16. That is crazy high. Again, it's the offense and everything else there, but anything above 3 is normally incredible at the college football level. You get to 4 and it's geez, man. Now, part of that is also target share and stuff like that, but he was awesome for Yale this past season. Alabama needs more wide receiver help. They don't have the depth as we sit right now. The top guys I like, Ryan Williams, I think he'll be better this year. Latsir Brooks was really impressive at times. Rico Scott, glad he's back since Isaiah Horton hopped in the portal. Noah Rogers can be a good depth piece and do some other stuff for you as part of a rotation, grouping, wide receiver 4. Long term, I like Meadows and Morgan. Mathis just kind of seems like, hey, he's a true freshman to be there for the time being. I don't want to go into the spring and fall with 7 receivers on my team. I think you need 2, 3 more just purely from a numbers perspective in college football. So I think they're done getting wide receivers. Now, maybe some of them are lesser names. Maybe you revisit some true freshmen as well. How many more wide receivers will Alabama end up landing? Get your predictions in for me in the comments section of today's show. One more transfer I want to mention, and it's relevant to Alabama. They have not been specifically linked yet. Jacoby Clinton is in the transfer portal with very obvious ties to Alabama. It's Clinton Dix's younger brother, who is a former safety, of course, and is a staffer who maybe sends off too many tweets relative to what he should, but I digress. Haven't heard much on Jacoby Clinton since he hopped in the portal. Ole Miss, I believe, was one of the teams that had interest in a visit for him. But he was really good last year. Again, much lower level of competition at West Florida, but he was an All-American for them. 78 tackles, 19 tackles for loss, 7 sacks, picked off 2 passes, 7 pass breakups, had a couple forced fumbles as well. I am intrigued, A, because of the connection, and although it is quiet right now around him, I think linebacker depth is something you'd like to add. And at least he's played. He's not like an unknown true freshman in the end. Granted, again, there was the familiar relation. They passed on the first time, but I think he showed more than what people thought he was going to show at West Florida, at least. I'm excited about Caleb Woodson. There are some young pieces. I think that linebacker room could use another piece or 2, if only for depth, since you're going to have a tough time finding a stud at this point in the transfer portal calendar. If you guys want more Alabama football transfer portal news, roster breakdowns, as we get into that with the teams mostly becoming finalized, get it by simply subscribing right now. Free Alabama football YouTube videos. Hit that sub button right now.